Breaking news. Breaking news. Well, I read like an hour ago? Are we an hour in to Sheduer Sanders being a Cleveland Brown? Has he been a Brown for an hour yet? I don't know. We're going to talk about Sheduer Sanders falling to the 5th round of the NFL draft, going to the Cleveland Browns, a place we thought he could go, but not after they already drafted another quarterback ahead of him in Oregon QB Dillon Gabriel. That's what makes this whole thing really, really bizarre, outside of the fact that we've really never seen a quarterback who was projected as the second. He was the second best quarterback in this draft for a very long time. Expected to go top 5 for a while, expected to be a first-round draft pick. Then there's some questions about him and Jackson Dart, who's the better prospect. We've never seen a guy who was that high up fall this far in an NFL draft. It was crazy. It was wild. And to top it all off, did the Browns teabag his draft pick? Did our friend Jaguar Gator 9 get video of the...
Okay, so they're not televising half these bets or anything. The camera is on stage right now. There are multiple people on stage.
That is the most testicle-looking dog bone I've ever seen. Someone in the Browns graphic department, you need to spend a little more time deciphering between your dog bones and your testicles, because all anybody sees are balls there. All anybody sees are balls. All right, I was gonna play my intro. Where are you? All right. Just got to play an intro, or else it's not an official show, right? I wasn't even sure I was going to go live to talk about this because we're working on an episode about it, right? And I don't want to be redundant, but I figured you guys could help me kind of digest some of this. Swore the Eagles were going to draft Sheduer. Now, I think the Browns jumped the Eagles there late to draft Sheduer Sanders. And then the Eagles just drafted quarterback Kyle McCord. So there's a solid chance that the Eagles would have done that. And honestly, I think Philadelphia might have been a better situation for Sheduer. I think, obviously, he's going to have a chance to compete for a starting job with the Browns, which is what you want if you're Sheduer Sanders. If you are a competitor, you do want to go to a place where you're going to eventually have a chance to start, right? I think the Raiders would have been the best spot for him to go, because I think playing behind Geno Smith, learning from Geno Smith without having the pressure to start right away, while getting to kind of work on some of your actual football issues, right? Not all of this other bullshit we've been told about Sheduer Sanders, some of it fair, some of it unfair, but he could have worked on his football stuff there behind Geno Smith, who went through the ringer in his career. Like Geno, he had a journey to get where he's at. So if there's somebody Sheduer could have learned from, I think in this draft specifically, in the roles that were available, I think the Raiders would have been the best overall fit. Clearly, they weren't high on him either. The Steelers were not high on him. The Steelers could have drafted him in the 3rd round. We thought the Steelers were crazy for passing on Sheduer or Jackson Dart in the 1st round. They could have had him in the 3rd. They said, no, we'll keep going. Eventually, the Browns drafted Dillon Gabriel at the back end of the 3rd round. And that was after Jalen Milroe went to the Seattle Seahawks. So Seattle was another kind of like a fringe team that could have taken a chance on Sheduer Sanders. Didn't ultimately do it. So the surprise of the Browns bringing Sheduer Sanders into a quarterback room with another rookie and Joe Flacco and Kenny Pickett and Deshaun Watson is pretty wild. This old tweet of Coach Prime saying, if I'm a young QB, ain't no way I'm going to Cleveland. That's pretty funny. That was back in 2018. Now his son is playing for the Browns. Mel Kiper, he's been losing it for 3 straight days in his draft coverage. And that's become a talking point as well, right? Like everybody's telling Mel to shut up about Sheduer Sanders. And there's probably too much coverage of Sheduer in terms of, giving other guys who deserved maybe some moments to get something said about them after they've worked their entire life to be drafted in the NFL. But this is the biggest draft story we've seen since the Laramie Tunsil gas mask debacle. The gas mask debacle. So I get why it's getting talked about. I think the problem I have with Mel Kiper is, and some of the other, media members out there, Skip Bayless is losing his fucking mind too, right? I think like the anger that they're showing is what doesn't feel right. I think the actual issue here has just been confusion. And I think that's why if you're looking at guys who I feel are really well respected, look, I think Ian Rappaport's one of the best NFL reporters. Look at Daniel Jeremiah. Those guys, Daniel Jeremiah, he is the draft guy. He does his homework. He had Sheduer as his 20th best player in this draft class, right? Second best player available. And when those guys are just simply confused, that's when there's a disconnect between what's happening in all of their research and what they have spent the last, months looking into. So I think the confusion of it is fair, and that's why this has turned into as big of a story as it has. Being undrafted is better than being a Brown. That might be true. I think Sheduer, he's shown he's appreciative that the Browns are giving him a chance, and he's going to go have to work and compete to get that backup job. I think it's Flacco's job right now. He's going to have to show the Browns he's better than Dylan Gabriel, that he offers more than Dylan Gabriel, both on the field and as, a leader. He's going to have to outplay Kenny Pickett, who's been in the NFL for a couple years. And he's going to have to prove like, hey, we're going to start Joe Flacco. If something happens to Flacco, and there's a chance that happens, Joe's an older quarterback, that Sheduer is the guy we're going to go to as our starter. So there's a lot that's going to be watched over the next few months in Cleveland's quarterback competition. Why is there a ball sack on the video right now? I know, right? I know.
Come in and work, and you got to message to him. It's really all this. It's like,
can you guys hear this?
Got to come in and work, and you got to come in and compete. That's the message. Nothing's given. Given the nature of the weekend for him, relative to, let's say, external expectation versus what happened, we did tell him that it really doesn't matter where you picked. It's what you do from that point forward.
And that's the truth, right? Doesn't matter where you picked. It matters what you do from that point forward. And I think this is probably Sheduer Sanders' first real, obstacle in his life in terms of playing football, right? And I think the other thing that's lost is he was fun at Colorado. He was very good at times at Colorado. There's a reason he actually got to being the number 2 QB prospect that fell recently. But if you watch Colorado football, he helped resurrect an entire program. He turned a 1-win team into 4 or 5 wins, and then they had a nice season last year comparatively. They got better every year there with him. It was a weird situation. And he played for his offensive coordinator's Pat fucking Shermer at Colorado. All right. The fact that he did anything with that man calling plays should not be undervalued. But he played for his dad. I don't think he ever actually had to fight for a roster spot, right, as a quarterback. He has talent, not the elite NFL talent that a lot of other quarterbacks possess. So this is his first real hurdle, his first real obstacle. And we don't know who Sheduer Sanders is when he's facing this kind of adversity. And I think if he approaches this the right way, it's a good opportunity for him to grow and actually develop some of his underdeveloped football skills. And there are some of those, but that was this whole class, right? There's lots of guys, and there's question marks about pretty much every QB in this draft class. That's not Cam Ward. What about Tom's pick? They better televise it. Yeah, Tom Grossi going to be picking for the Packers here in the 6th round. This should be televised. I believe they'll televise it. He's got that kind of star power, right? How much do you think his stock was hurt by his father's probable meddling, or is it self-inflicted? I think it's a little bit of both, and that's kind of what our video is going to be about. Like, why did he fall so far? I think I don't think Deion Sanders had the right read of the situation. He was basically Shedeur's agent in this, and I think they needed an agent to tell him where Sheduer was actually being viewed by these other teams, so he could go into some of these interviews and give a better impression. Because I think because of Deion's experience, of the way he came into the NFL, the way he kind of called his own shots coming into the league because he was so fucking good at football, he had the impression they could dictate where Sheduer was going, and that was not the reality of it. So I think part of the problem is Deion, but not because Deion was meddling in like a bad way, but because I don't think Deion was told the truth about what Sheduer was as a prospect. I think there was a disconnect there. Browns wanted Sanders, but Sanders likely didn't want the Browns, had to wait to show Sanders no one else wanted him. This could actually work. Maybe. I don't know if it's that complex. I just think like a lot of these teams ultimately didn't have him as the first round grade like it was projected. And I didn't think this was going to happen. I thought the idea of him falling out of the first round a couple weeks ago was ludicrous. I told Scooter on Clickbait I would bet $20,000 he doesn't fall out of the first round. But that's because I watched him. I've never talked about the Buffs, the Colorado Buffaloes, on this YouTube channel in my life. I watched their first game with Sheduer, and I was like, oh shit, there's something to this guy. There's something to the way he plays quarterback, and there's something to this other dude, Travis Hunter, too. So I did a live stream after CU's first game with Sheduer Sanders, not because I was planning on doing it, but because I watched that game, and my genuine takeaway was, oh shit, there's some good football players here. And I went into watching that game not thinking that Deion was the right guy for CU. I knew Deion was going to have some star power and he was going to get some nice recruits, and that could ultimately help CU. But Sheduer Sanders earned my respect like as a football player. I did some post-game recaps a few times from that first season until the NFL season started, and then I got too busy with the NFL. But like, there's stuff to his game. There were at least 2 throws in those first 2 games where I'm like, fuck, those are NFL caliber throws. It's going to be interesting to see how he develops. So like, Sheduer earned my respect like as a football player. That's why I've been following him. It has nothing to do with Deion. If anything, I'm a Deion Sanders hater. He's blocked me on Twitter because I think I talked shit about his job performance at the NFL Network. So I'm somebody who was probably looking for reasons to be like, Sheduer shouldn't be in the NFL. Clearly a Jimmy Haslam pick. Now that could be an issue with the Browns, right? I saw some tweets about that. If Jimmy Haslam made the Browns pick Sheduer Sanders, then that feels like Sheduer's getting put into a situation that's not going to help him at all. I hope that's not true. I hope Barry and Stefanski looked at the situation and were like, he is so far outside of his value as a player, we have to take him here. I hope that's what happened. But if this is a Haslam pick, I don't think that sets up Sheduer for success. Not like at all. Word on the street is it was all ownership telling Barry to pick him. Thank you, Paul, reiterating what we were just talking about here. Who starts first? Who we got? Pickett, Flacco, Watson, Sanders. It won't be Watson. Watson's injured. He's recovering from a torn Achilles. He's not starting before Sheduer. I think Flacco starts. I think the real battle is between Pickett, Sanders, and Dylan Gabriel. And maybe if one of those guys plays well in the preseason, the Browns can trade him, right? And this, I mean, the Browns have started 40 quarterbacks since re-emerging as the Browns, right? Since 99, they've started 40 different quarterbacks. The real question is it Pickett? Is it Sanders or Dylan Gabriel as their 41st starting QB? I miss football. Can't wait for another season watching TGS and GPS. Well, thank you so much, Zachary. We appreciate it. Campbell, Ragdoll, Vrabel, Graham, Duvall, trolled Cohen. Sheduer proved being smug, egotistical, still the worst thing you can do in a job interview. Yeah, that's fair. And I think the bad interviews, they were being presented as an issue all the way back at the combine, right? That was the first thing. Sheduer's not interviewing too well. We're hearing the interviews aren't going great. Then you hear, no, the interviews are fine. Then it's like, well, maybe the interviews aren't going well because Sheduer doesn't want to go to this team. Then we kind of forgot about it for a while. And then right before the draft, it was Tom Pelissero saying the anonymous executive said it was one of the worst interviews he'd ever been a part of. I think all of that turned out to be very true. And I didn't believe a lot of it because so much information comes out before a draft that you wonder if somebody's hoping to get some bad info out there so they can actually draft a player. We've seen that happen before. Not in this case. He just didn't interview well in some spots, and he didn't take advantage of a couple opportunities he had with teams who were considering him, and I think that was the Giants and the Saints. I think he fucked up the Giants interview, and I think he fucked up the Saints interview, and I think that came from Todd McShay's podcast. I tweeted about that. It's on my Twitter somewhere. I wish we'd have seen some better clapping here from Stefanski and Barry. Their reaction was a little underwhelming. A little underwhelming. The Browns war room looked like they were being held at gunpoint. I sensed that ownership got involved. It might have. The Browns are a terribly run organization. We know that. They're fucked with the Watson contract for years to come. They brought back Joe Flacco. They let him go. They brought him back. They don't know what they're doing at quarterback. All of that said, though, in terms of value, they bring in two rookies, Dylan Gabriel and Sheduer Sanders. You could argue they got the best value pick in the draft with Sheduer. So at least they've got two options that I think are better options than Deshaun Watson moving forward in Sanders and maybe Gabriel. So in a weird way, it's not bad. And the rest of the Browns draft going pretty good. They got Judkins. They had some nice pieces. It is such an odd thing. Whatever the Browns are doing right now, I don't know if it's going to work out. I like the rest of their draft. I hope it works out for Sheduer. First slice of humble pie wasn't on the menu. It wasn't. It was not on the menu, but it might just be exactly what he needed, right? And I'm not even putting it all on Sheduer. I think just the way he kind of grew up in a situation where your dad is one of the most boisterous and cocky athletes of all time, and it worked for Deion. It's hard to not grow up in and around, I think, a guy like Deion Sanders and not believe that's the way you should be approaching how you project yourself. I think he's just trying to show that he's confident and he believes in himself as an athlete, and it sends out mixed signals because he just hasn't been at the same level Deion ever was. Also, the Bench Warmer Brew, our sale is going on through the rest of today. It's 15% off my coffee, benchwarmershop.com. It's the This Is Our Year blend, a dark roast. This is a very good coffee. There's always next year. The last day for the sale. So if you want to get some coffee, support this channel, do it over at benchwarmershop.com. Code is draft15. You got to put in the promo code to get 15% off. Last day for the sale. Always be closing. Remember, Joe isn't there to mentor anyone. Joe Flacco only mentors Joe Flacco. Yeah, I think he's changed his approach since he said that for the Broncos, but I think he'll be a little more open to teaching, to sharing some of his knowledge. And I hope, that's available to Sheduer. Guys, I think the Browns might be dysfunctional. Just a hunch, though. That is true. I liked...
Big Brown.
What was his... Oh, that wasn't his reaction. Dude, there's been so much just coverage of this, including from like Sheduer's own YouTube channel and streaming channels. Like, it's pretty wild. Sheduer Sanders top tweets. Do we have anything breaking here? Oh yeah, Trump endorsed him. Let's see here. Nothing relevant here. There we go. We'll just leave this here. The NFL Post. He's a Cleveland Brown. I was just seeing if there's anything I missed here. Imagine Tom announces the pick and turns out the pick is himself a wide receiver for the Packers. That'd be pretty wild. Tom's up at, I think he's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 picks away possibly for Grossi's pick. Ravens drafted a kicker. That's the end for Tuck. Yeah, quite possibly. We got to see how that situation goes out. The Shannon Sharp situation's gotten more bizarre as the days have passed as well. Tom's pick is at 237 now. Hopefully he gets on TV. Oh, it was moved to 237? Really? He's not in the 6th round anymore? Damn it. At some point, doing it for the memes almost feels like a real societal decision. I know there's more depth to it in reality, but come on. Teams take risks if prospect has talent, especially a QB skill issue. I mean, Sheduer has talent. He has skills. He can play quarterback. I think there is overwhelming evidence for it. I think the disconnect was how NFL teams evaluated his talent versus how scouts, former scouts, and people who get paid to talk about it evaluated it. But he can play football. That's why this became if he actually sucked, we would have known. We would have known already. He doesn't suck. There are flaws, yes. And there are questions, but it's never because he was terrible. Feels like no one in the media spent a lot of time mentioning Sheduer's lack of exposure to pro-style offense. That's a huge red flag. I mean, Jackson Dart, similar, right? I think Tyler Shuck played more pro-style football than either of those guys. He played for Pat Shurmur. And I will say this again. I do not think Pat Shurmur is a good offensive coordinator. I don't think he's qualified to even be calling plays for college football. Sheduer performed in Shurmur's offense. Shurmur was a pro. Shurmur coached pro football. So was it pro style? Was it not? I don't know. It was a Shurmur style. Yes, it would be the Cleveland Browns, John Paul. Unrelated to Sanders, but as a Giants fan, I feel like the Giants are having their best draft in years right now. What do you think? Yeah, I think the Giants are doing a very good job. They got Scadaboo today. That was nice. Abdul Carter, Jackson Dart. They got their 2 guys that they wanted. I think the Giants are crushing it. Are the Browns the worst place to be in the NFL again? Feels like they have less confidence than the Panthers. Yes, the Browns are always kind of a mess. But in terms of talent on their roster, they've got a lot now. They've got a lot. I like Mason Graham there. I think, oddly, once they can get past the Watson shit, this could be a good situation for Sheduer if Stefanski believes in him as a quarterback. And if this is an ownership pick, then we don't know. There's a lot of teams you'd go, oh yeah, that coach wanted Sheduer there. I like it for the offense. I like it for the fit. Don't know. But the Browns have a lot of talent on their roster. Last season was a mess because Watson wasn't good, and then he got hurt, and they didn't have a good backup plan. Hopefully with Flacco, they can win some games early. And if Flacco's struggling, maybe one of the quarterbacks they have there comes in and wins some games for them. Kuiper thought the Saints at 9 would be a great fit for Sheduer because they play in a dome. How many stud QBs can't play outdoors? Yeah, and he played outdoors at CU, right? He and Hunter had a nice connection. I think one of his Sanders' best throws was his game-winning touchdown against CSU. He had to basically win that game twice. I think you can rely on him in the clutch. I think he can make. He completed 74% of his passes. He did a lot of nice things. How are we feeling about the Broncos picks post round 1? Good, great. We're working on a Broncos video as well. The Broncos draft is a lot of like under the radar guys that I think a lot of the people who are really draft nerds like, and I think a lot of casual fans of college football, as I am. I don't watch a ton of college football. There's players I didn't know, a lot of guys I didn't know. But I trust George and Sean Payton. I think they've proven they have a good eye for talent. I like RJ Harvey at the running back spot, even though I wasn't familiar with his game. The more I watch on him so far, I like it. I like it a lot. The Browns have 5 quarterbacks if you count injured Watson. Who's more dumb, Steelers or Browns? Well, I mean, the Steelers have 2, the Browns have 5. Both are doing silly things. Justin, why can't they both suck? As a Browns fan, I don't hate it. We don't have a full season starter. I don't trust Flacco to play a full season. And we have 2 first-round picks next year, and I don't trust the Jags. Yeah, I think if you're a Browns fan, this is a very okay, you were probably expecting there was a chance you would draft Sheduer at the top of the 2nd. You get him in the 5th round. Feels like a fucking slam dunk for the Browns in terms of value. If this happened to Manziel, would his career have been different? I don't know. You have to ask, is this an experience where you walk away from it thinking, okay, there's some things I really need to work on and some things I need to change? Or are you thinking everybody else is stupid? Right? And I don't know if Manziel would have walked away, a little bit humbled and ready to work and prove that he deserved to be picked in the 1st round. I do find it funny that the 2 quarterbacks Skip Bayless has defended and really wanted for the Browns were Manziel and Sheduer. That's good. Eagles just wanted to send some love and some money to someone who keeps on keeping on and has given me many laughs over the years. Good luck, Broncos. Let's go, birds fly, Eagles fly. Well, thank you, Nick. I appreciate that. Abdul Carter asked LT to wear 56. What a joke. I saw that. Lawrence Taylor said no. I also don't care. I think we hold we give a little too much prestige to these numbers. I like that he asked. I like it. Yes, Lawrence Taylor, one of the best to ever play. Well, let's face it. There's a lot of weird shit with Lawrence Taylor off the field. Who's he to say nobody can ever wear my number again? I don't know. Sanders will either be the biggest draft bust this year or we're about to witness the single greatest revenge arc in NFL history. I kind of agree there could be a great revenge arc. This could be legendary like his brand, right? I don't think he can be a bust anymore because of where he was taken. You can't be a huge draft bust if you're taken in the 5th round, right? If anything, he's setting himself up to be a great steal. The Browns offseason is going to be a complete clown show now. Sanders fans have no chill or sense. Yeah, and I do think some of Sanders' most adamant supporters are delusional as well. Everybody's delusional with this shit. All the drama surrounding Sheduer Sanders seemed orchestrated to get him picked in an early round. Now it is only going to put pressure on him to live up to the hype. Or the NFL is really smart and they tricked us into watching the 3rd day of the draft. Maybe they have insane third-day draft ratings because of all of this, you know? Maybe NFL's playing their chess. I predicted Gabriel would go before Sanders, but I didn't actually think it would happen. Yeah, sometimes you kind of say some crazy shit, and maybe you're an Oregon fan and you really like Gabriel. I know an Oregon fan who told me, like, Gabriel's all right. Like, he's good as a college quarterback for the Ducks, but I don't see him as a good pro. I think the Browns view him as a viable backup. But, you know, I hope it works out for Dylan Gabriel, too. He's in a weird spot. Like, he's in a very weird situation right now. 8 straight Instagram posts about this by ESPN. How could I miss it? Yeah, they found their story, and they're sticking to it. I've had bad interviews, but for this slide, we are in kicked an animal territory. He must have imploded and gave no other discussion. If nothing else, this is a lesson to participate in some part of the combine, so there is something else to discuss. Yeah, I think like Todd McShay pointed to the Giants interview and that they gave him like something to prepare for, a game package or whatever, and that they didn't feel like he took it seriously. And if he didn't approach that in the manner of, you know what, I need to study this package, I need to go in there and impress them with how I digested their playbook and what they gave me, then that was a big missed opportunity, especially as you're saying, for somebody who didn't actually throw or work out at the combine. And I think maybe this will be a reason you see guys more willing to maybe work out in next year's combine. That shot of the Browns' war room is not a good sign. They didn't even look like they were trying to fake their excitement. Yeah, I don't disagree. But it is the 5th round. Like, how many teams are going to be, like, jumping for joy in the 5th round? It's also, you know, day 2 of a long draft. Be a little tired. You'll be a little tired there. I'm a Jags fan, and I'm terrified to get excited. Hey, Jacksonville, I love that you got Travis Hunter. I love Travis Hunter. He's a great dude. He's an insane talent. You gave up a lot to get him, so it better work out. But I think he's going to shine in Jacksonville. No, Rich, shut up, Rich. I'm not excited to see Genty twice a year. What the fuck, man? You kidding me? Bills going to the Super Bowl after this draft. Yeah, I think Bills are having a solid draft. I'll be getting into that, you know, early next week with the video. So much to digest. It's like my brain can only process so much. I appreciate you guys being here. Don't forget to like this stream. Like the stream. Thoughts on Shuck to the Saints? Joshua, I like it for New Orleans. We did a breakdown on Tyler Shuck. We did our, who the fuck is Shuck video. Oh, the Lions just selected the Boise State edge rusher, Ahmed Hassanin. 99% sure I messed up his name, but I think that's a good edge pick for the Lions. I think Shucks, I hope he's good. I think the big concern is injury. If he can stay healthy, you might have got the quarterback steal of the draft, New Orleans. How many times did Raiola get touched? That's it. Throw those teammates under the bus. Who needs them? One of the stats about Sheduer is he had the most free rushers come at him in the, is it all of college or one of them? He had a lot of free rushers coming after him. He had a bad line, Sheduer. That I do know. Thanks for doing a great job streaming the draft. Also, Tom is now announcing pick 237. Thank you for the update. Thank you for watching the draft stream. It's always a long one. Appreciate you guys joining us for that. If you watched the reality show or Cuff social media, Sheduer is shy. His brother Shiloh is Lil Dion. The media is weird. Can't wait to buy the jersey. Yeah, I don't know any of those references. I think Shiloh's actually very funny. And I think they've honestly, like, if you're watching some of their streams during this, they handled it pretty well. Laughing about a lot of this, I think they handled it pretty well, even if you don't like the overall spectacle of it. Sheduer could be a Drew Brees, but he's more likely to be a Case Keenum. Maybe. We'll see. We'll see if the Browns are a good fit, and if they're not, hopefully he can prove enough to another NFL team that he goes to a better situation. I don't have time for this. My girlfriend has a yeast infection. Now my apartment smells like a trunk. Okay, God damn it, Sal. If the Browns didn't trade their first-round pick, they could have had both Sheduer and Travis Hunter. Yeah, they could have. They could have. Ugh, Andrew, what the fuck? $200 from King Andrew. You slide to round 5. Are the second QB... You slide to round 5. You're the second QB picked by the team, and that team is the Browns. Can you be a perfect Browns by virtue of landing? Can you be a perfect Brown by virtue of landing with the Browns? Oh, God. That's a lot, Andrew. I don't know. I don't know. But yeah, it is a wild scenario. The way he got here is wild. Thank you for the super chat, Andrew. Dear God, $200. King.
Johnny John John! Woo! Johnny John John! Woo!
I appreciate the support, Andrew. All the time, Andrew. Lions finally drafted an edge. And I think you got a decent one late, Detroit. You got a decent one late. Had the most free rushers because he held the ball for 3 seconds per snap. A free rusher. I would have to double check how they measure what a free rusher is, but I would say a free rusher is there because there was no blocking, Steve. Yes, he did hold on to the ball too much. That's a fair critique of it. But two things can be true. The CU's line was bad. It was really bad in 2023. They got a little bit better in 2024. Waiting for my Safeway and Tokyo Joe's orders to arrive so I can absorb all of my alcohol intake. Hopefully, the Lions will see a pass rusher that they jive with. They just got him. I think they just got him. Caitlin, enjoy that Tokyo Joe's. Everybody shut up. Grossi is about ready to announce a pick. Is he? Is he going at... Oh, it's one... Is he at 197? 198? Is he up? Is he up? Let's all go watch Grossi do the pick. Thank you guys for watching along. Sheduer is just the Hillary Clinton if she played football. All right. I'm going to get out of here. Thanks for popping in. We'll have more videos coming out. Appreciate you. Goodbye.